Hello guys, it's Daneo here and I'm back for a game of the World Championship 2023 in stage 3. It's a three-player game with Jezza 101 and Ben 0728. I'm obviously missing some numbers in my name. So, let's look at the leaders and wonders for a second here. Let's see if there's something to discover, which I find a lot harder in three-player or four-player games to judge and to, yeah, you know what I mean. Compared to two-player games, I have a clear idea what's strong there and what I'm looking out there. So, for example, I would see Shakespeare and internet, and I would know, okay, that's a winning condition in a two-player game, but not so much in three-player, probably. But we can see there's Suez Canal, and there is Isabella maybe, there is the Colossus, which is synergy with the Suez Colosseum, some synergy with Suez. I think Suez is super strong because economy is even stronger than in two-player, so I'm always looking out for that and opportunities to get a good Suez Canal running. It's just a win condition. And other than that, I yeah, I don't really know a lot. I think Barbarossa is always noteworthy to look out for. I think it's one of the best H1 leaders, especially in multiplayer, since it's always kind of military heavy and he just gives so much value. Some civil actions, some food, some rocks. It's crazy. Yeah, but other than that, I have no real information here. So let's see how the game develops. Jezza starts with Alexander. Probably, yeah, that's probably a decent pick. We can take a quick look back to the leaders. Yeah, I don't see anything that speaks against Alexander. Especially, I don't like picking HA leaders late anyway, and Caesar or Mare are probably both worse. It's probably a really decent start to pick Alexander here. And let's look what I did. I actually, it's been a while that I played this game, so I actually don't know all my turns. We will see together. Um, Going for the Colossus, yeah. As I mentioned, there's a Suez Canal, and I really like it with the Suez Canal in game. So, second card is just Frugality, Patriotism A, probably the worst card in the game. Stockpile. If you don't have a specific reason to take stockpile, it's also kind of bad. So, Frugality for efficiency reasons. And Ben, who I know from the two-player meta somewhat. He plays Pulse and he plays it quite successfully. So I know that he likes to play pretty aggressive. That's something to look out for. About Jezza, I don't know anything other than I've taken a look at the Glyco rating, and their rating is quite similar to mine. I think Jezza's is even a little better than mine. Yeah, whatever that means. um, yeah, Colosseum, probably that's a good pick from him, I guess. And Patriotism A, which, as I said, I don't think that's a good card at all. There's, in my opinion, there's one borderline use case for Patriotism A is if you get the Silk Road early enough, then it gives 2 red cubes and 2 rocks. Then it's okay. But other than that, it's probably better to leave it here than to take it and waste it if you had no other option. But yeah, that might be close. So yeah, stockpile would just be reasonable here. We see Jezza electing the leader, building a bronze. Yeah, going for the efficiency with populating and taking a yellow card instead of taking a wonder for 2. That's probably correct. I would also prefer that he might get the library next turn still, and he might already see an H1 wonder coming down the row, which is in many cases pretty good, especially when there's such good early wonders like Universitas. The other ones, not so much good early wonders. Yeah, Magic Castle is okay, but it's not the best selection for an early H1 wonder. So yeah, if Universitas comes, it's always great to start with that. Obviously, in 3-player, 4-player, there's the problem that your wonder might succumb to ravages of time. So that's something to look out for. So I don't really like starting with St. Pete's or something, which can really hit hard if you lose it. And the probability is 2/3 or 3/4, roughly, respectively, in 3-player, 4-player. So yeah, I think H1 wonder or HA wonder skip is a little worse than in 2-player, but it still can work out quite well. So yeah, that was his turn. Looks pretty decent to me. And for me, it's yeah. I mean, who says A has to say B, right? If I have Colossus, I can take. I have to take Caesar. Yeah, I think it was on a whim. I think picking Homer would probably be a little more solid, but I felt like Caesar, and there are some arguments, especially with again the Suez Canal. This guy draws more cards, and that's quite cool. Of course, Sun Tzu does that too, but I would need to spend 2 civil actions for that, and then I would not be able to. What's my last one? Yeah, to populate, which is yeah, overall on a whim, maybe not the best turn, but I think they are not that far apart. Like taking Homer and taking this guy and taking Sun Tzu, they are all quite similar, I guess, and it can work out quite well. It's a little RNG hero, and it can work out quite well. Let's see. You draw the first colony, so that's the third card even. Argument 1. Sun Tzu, yeah, I mean that's the bad thing about Caesar here. I go into 2 strength wonders kinda if he decides to play the Alexander for a longer while. But I think the best case using Caesar is actually anyway to not draw strength events and push a lot of not strength events and make the other guys invest into the military, and you can say, I have all the information and I don't need to do anything for military, or not a lot at least. That's the best case anyway, in my opinion. Um, Only followed by if you have a certain strategy, a certain path to win strength events, then obviously pushing and winning strength events is even better, but there's always some kind of uncertainty in that. So, yeah. Let's see. We see the Colosseum over the library. Interesting decision, but with this start, might be reasonable. Colosseum, I guess, it's pretty good in multiplayer, and I would still think library is a little better. But as I said, he likes to play aggressive, and that fits that style. So we see the border pact, the borderline broken agreement pact. Both get a red cube. I chose a leader that gives a red cube, and they say, "Hey, let's have a red cube too." Such a good pact. 10 out of 10, Mr. Vlada. All right, let's move on from that. Library. Yeah, obviously that's pretty good for him. He got library and engineering genius on one, and does reasonable things. With philosophy, populates. Didn't elect Alexander. He could have thought about that, but he sees Caesar, Colossus, and Sun Tzu, so he decides to leave it there. I probably still would have just elected him, used his ability. I mean, since it would just stop the consumption, and there's already a leader coming. Yeah, I think overall there's more value in just taking the yellow cube than leaving it. I see it, and I didn't see what. So you can rewind and look. Sadly, the replay function doesn't say that, right? No. So I open the crafts, and I see the wealthy territory as well. That's the nice thing about Caesar. Even of politics, pretty nice for me too, and pretty nice events also. And that I have a really access to a really early iron. That's nice. So I will probably go for the philosophy and take the cultural heritage. This one's close. Populating is opens me up to the free religion, free warrior, not so much. I can take that, but free religion is not that bad. But I think with the barbarians in hand, I think I thought like if they take the religion, I have like a safe pathway to not losing the barbarians, probably making some of them lose them. And yeah, obviously cultural heritage is also some culture, which makes it harder, but it's the one science that I might need for the iron. But this is a really close call. Taking HA cards is, especially with only 4 civil action, is often not worth it. In this case, it might be worth it to have a certain way to develop and upgrade iron, which is if you can make that happen really early as turn 3 as here or then 4, then it's always pretty good. But yeah, I'm not really certain what's better here, populating all this. Um, probably, probably it's better taking it. Yeah, getting rid of the enslaved, there's just no way that's gonna happen. And let's see what Ben does. He seeds. Development of agriculture is revealed. He takes Chishka. I think in every single game in this stage of the tournament, he took Chishka for 2 or maybe even 3. And yeah, it makes sense. He has he has Sun Tzu, and it's just a wombo combo, and yeah, that's reasonable. He could also just take Gutenberg, but I kind of understand that he takes Chishka here. Does the reasonable turns, goes for philosophy. Yeah, we see the development of religion. So yeah, as called upon, we see still yeah, he seeded. So obviously he still has Alexander. He still hopes to contest strength events, I guess, with the event rush that we are doing. So yeah, I get the idea, but I probably still wouldn't do it and just take. Did he have that already? Yes. Gutenberg, after the first philosophy, could still be a lot of value to take it. It is also kind of good printing press game. I don't like printing presses in 3-player as much, but if you have Darwin, Shakespeare, and Gaudi, you can really consider it, especially with Gutenberg, who kind of builds printing press for free. You just have to not be too greedy to build like 2 or even 3. Probably you just build 1, and if you haven't built the philosophy before, you can also build 2 maybe, but yeah, depends on the game, obviously. Takes iron for his last civil actions. He could have also considered code, but then he actually would have a good last option. Code plus theocracy, maybe, or code plus monarchy even. Then maybe go for the revolution next turn, though that would be corruption at this point. Yeah, iron is also fine. Early iron is always pretty good, but I think this one's close. Code of laws plus a government could also be an option. Yeah, that being said, in 3-player, 4-player, there's guaranteed Republic Conmon. So I think overall, monarchy and also theocracy are worse off in 3-player, 4-player because you kind of have guaranteed one of those, and they are a lot better, obviously. And with the distribution also, because there are more in the deck, it's more likely that they drop early. That's also an important argument, because if you skip monarchy and are on 4-2, for example, and have a lot of signs, and they just don't drop, and then they drop late, and the opponent says, okay, I can deny it, and it's a catastrophe. But that doesn't happen in 3-player, 4-player. It's you always get one of those. So it's yeah, a lot more reasonable to skip those. But if they are that early, and if you have a certain path to a revolution, for example, then I think they are pretty good still. Maybe the theocracy even a little better than monarchy. Yeah, but let's go on. Iron still pretty decent. And he even had one more selection. I kind of didn't even see that, so he can take the Call of Law still. Yeah, quite reasonable. So a lot of costs a lot of science, but he has the library here. Looks good. His position looks pretty good, I would say. And I developed the trade route, so I didn't need the cultural heritage after all. I can't know that before. And yeah, maybe the first event I seeded was Foray. I kind of remember that. And here I'm lucky enough to just win it without having to build the Colossus now. And actually, yeah, it means I can't even take all the resources, and I have a pretty weird turn in order to. Well, it's not even that weird. I have to build a wonder and populate twice. It's fine, I guess. Do I decide to? I even decide to build the warrior. I have a lot of information about the deck, but not 100%. And being strongest here is a lot. It's pretty low opportunity cost, so I just go for it. If it, for example, meant that I couldn't go for an iron or a second iron, if I went from 3 to 1, then I would probably not do it. But like this, it's okay. Especially with wealthy territory in the deck, the warrior will be sent into to a colony anyway. Yeah, but why do I talk about the warrior so much? Because I see so many random warriors being built and random military units built. I think with few purpose, and I think a lot of players don't really realize how that sets their civilizations back. For example, the free warrior. Taking the free warrior is sometimes a horrible blunder, because you don't build the second philosophy for 3 turns or something like that, and you have to be mindful of building the warriors and the knights and so on. Yeah, let's go on. We see. Then I draw the Dark Ages, and Planar Dark Ages is kind of nice. I think I can again see 2 times, which I probably will go for. Yeah, it's a good draw. I think the Caesar worked out quite well for me in this game. We see Ben going for the medieval army, improved medieval army of Sun Tzu. He goes for it at once, so that's kind of scary. That's, I think, the wombo combo: Sun Tzu medieval army with Colossus, with red cubes from open borders, and yeah, he looks out to go for a lot of pressure when H2 starts, or already towards the end of H1. That's kind of scary. That being said, it is kind of scary, but I think it's not. He didn't invest anything into economy so far, and I think it's not setting up for a win condition. In 1-on-1, it's a little different because you can really just kill your one opponent, but you will probably not kill 2 opponents with this. And if he invested everything into the knights now, and that loops back to my best case scenario. There are no strength events in. I have that information. I just didn't see strength events, so it does nothing right now. And yes, it's generally it's not weak, but 3-player, 4-player, going for this early military rush and neglecting economy is just not winning. It's just not winning. It's also not losing, probably in a lot of cases, but it's not winning the game in a lot of cases. At least that's my take on that. So we see Jezza going for swordsman. Obviously wants to do something for his military. It's quite interesting because that probably means he's not going for knights after he has seen a medieval army. That's brave, I would say, even for my standards. I would strongly consider knights for 2 here. Especially he even builds them. Probably he did that for efficiency reasons. Maybe there's no turn that fixes corruption if he goes for knights. But yeah, you can calculate that. I don't want to do that now. And yeah, it's also if he has a legion, it's probably fine. This defense also. And once again, a heavy investment into military. They are all scats from the Caesar of the Caesar strength events, and there are no strength events except barbarians, which I cannot lose actually. They are in the next deck, or no, they are still here. Yeah, they will be in the next deck, and I'm on +0, and they are on +1, 2 respectively. I'm looking out for Ben to lose that actually. That's a good chance that this will happen, I think. Cultural influence helps with that plan. And wealthy territory, and I don't win that. I was actually willing to bid both warriors, was I? I don't have 2 defense cards, I think. So, yeah, I was willing to bid. Oh, no, it's the Colossus. Yeah, I have the Colossus, and yeah, I was wondering. It's not really worth 2 warriors, I think. And Ben, with all his red cubes and Sun Tzu, he has the defense cards for that, so that's good for him. Early wealthy, it's pretty good in my opinion. Of course, last inherited probably better, but the wealthy has its merit also. That's a lot of value, I think. I can go for iron, pretty good, and I do take the knights for 2. It would be pretty crazy not to do that. And I draw 2 green cards again. So yeah, pretty good Caesar game. Scientific breakthrough. Probably best for Jezza since he has quite some techs in hand. Ben builds his Colosseum. Take Call of Laws. That's a pretty good option to get a 5th civil action. He does have 6 science next turn. It looks reasonable. He couldn't take the Engineering Genius, which was on 1. Well, I also do think the Call of Laws has more value here for him. Another question is if he needed to finish the Colosseum now, but probably he needed to do that to fix corruption. Looks like that. Or maybe he could go for irrigation. I'm not certain. But overall, it's also just fine, the turn. Jezza goes for the library. Now, instead of iron, but probably, yeah, going for Code of Laws and the library with Engineering Genius A. It's just science production. It's pretty good. You can probably still take the Engineering Genius. He has 5 civil actions, so you can go for some Great Wall maybe. He has a pretty good Great Wall setup with his Legion, or his Swordsman at least. There's no Legion yet. And the only sad part about this turn is that he doesn't have 5 signs next turn for the iron. Then it would be perfect. Then it would be already on the winning track, I think. But like this, it's still pretty good. It looks pretty good. He takes the drama instead of Engineering Genius. That's interesting. Let's look at this. There is Bach, okay. But there's no Marlene Dietrich. I think she's even the more important argument for dramas than Bach. Yeah, culture rushes with early drama. They are a lot better in 2-player and 3-player, 4-player especially. If you do the setup that you want to do in 2-player, where you go super greedy, build like 3 dramas with Bach, go to like +15 culture income, but have no signs, In 2-player, that's enough to win, but in 3-player, 4-player, there's just more impacts, and the games go longer on average. So this culture lead is actually melting away in a lot of cases. Yeah, I think I would always prefer to go engineering genius here, set up for a good economy, and then you can still go for operas. That's also, operas are just done better than drama. And still probably the economy, H2 economy heavy plan is, I think, a little better than the H2 culture heavy plan. It can work out. It can work out, but it depends on the game. Yeah, don't agree with the drama, but it's, I mean, it's close. Engineering Genius just is more obvious of a value right now with those wonders coming, with the Great Wall coming, and also a lot of great H2 wonders. Yeah, Harvard College, Ocean Liner, Suez Canal, it's the best of the best here. It's the best. And then there's also Eiffel Tower. Let's not talk about that. Draw 3 cards. Thanks to the open borders agreement, inhabited territory is revealed, and I am willing to bid both warriors here. And winning that, yeah, definitely, I think inhabited territory, as I just mentioned, is a little better than the wealthy, and I already have iron, but I don't have irrigation, so the yellow cubes are pretty good. Territories are pretty good for the Suez in general, so I'm willing to bid both warriors. I take Nostradamus to, yeah, for obvious reasons, kinda. There is some maniac with knights that give 3 strength, and yeah, Nostradamus is the perfect leader for this. Also, the information that I gain, seeing the events that they seed. Sadly, I don't remember at all, so you don't get this information. It's not like Weidenbaum who writes it down or something, I don't know, or he just has a photographic memory. We will, I will say in hindsight, yeah, I knew that they were seeding this. I go for knights and the monarchy. I think I probably have a good opportunity to revolution the monarchy, but we will see next turn. And yeah, that's a turn. We see Ben going for knights, obviously, goes to 10 strength and the irrigation. So finally he did something for economy. Did not take any cards here, but that's probably fine. He doesn't need any of those. Can argue a little maybe about cartography. Has a lot of value in this game, but he wants to get the Code of Laws out, and then he wants to have science for an H2 government. So definitely correct to not go for any of those. Yes, I agree with this turn wholeheartedly. Genghis Khan, interesting. Because for the heavy cavalry, wants to be strongest. Yeah, I mean, Genghis Khan also is in line a little with this culture rush. But in general, I think Rida's quite weak. Free culture is not that bad, but yeah, I don't know. It's situationally okay. Maybe this is one of those. Maybe it's fine. But if he, for example, had a colony in hand, Columbus would be the obvious call. Waiting one turn for Barbarossa also would be pretty good. Even Isabella in a game with Suez in would be pretty good. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really like this Genghis too much. Let's see, he goes for another swordsman. Interesting, he went for the heavy calf for, yeah, to be strongest, but he will be able to copy this tactic next turn. The medieval army to go into 6 strength from tactics. Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. Problem is obviously always switching out Genghis Khan in H2. If you don't have cavalry yet, then it hurts a lot to lose all that strength. Let's see how that goes. Still no iron, by the way. So yeah, he didn't have the science. Yeah, that's what I mentioned, right? Yeah, didn't have the science for that. So sadly, if he had the science for that now, but he has Richland now, 2 Richlands even. He can go for 3 iron upgrades next turn, so it still looks pretty good. He has a good position. I go for the revolution, pretty clean, I think. I don't get corruption. I can set up to contest some strength. Or just defend. I play my own medieval army because it just makes me not the weakest, and I can still, if it will be relevant, copy it later. If obviously if I could copy it now, I would have done that. It's always important to use up your military action before the H flips, before H turn starts, H2 starts. Since yeah, obviously H2 cards are a lot better than H1 cards, and probably if not necessary, I will not even copy this tactic. It's just not worth it. It's a lot better to draw a Mogul artillery, for example. But it didn't work out to copy now, so I just played my own. I'm not certain if I knew about reds, but there was no way to populate anyway with this revolution. So Ben does play his patriotism. Yeah, one civil action exchanged for 1 rock. That's super bad. Takes alchemy, takes Richland. So what would he gain if he not played it? Could take breakthrough, which is a better card. And did he not have the science? He did not have the science to go for Code of Law. So yeah. Yeah, patriotism, just bad. Dark Ages, did I play that? I don't know. I think I didn't. Turns out quite well. Did I? I have no idea. Jezza going for irrigation. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't understand this one actually. Maybe I do. He needs to be able to populate after the H flips. I tend to hope for a wonder in such case because going for iron would be so much better. And for wonder, I mean like some card that fixes that. Probably it's reasonable to do this, to not be forced into having to dispense something next turn. So yeah, that's irrigation for 2 to be able to populate next turn. Takes breakthrough for the last turn, civil action, and still looks pretty good for him. I would say it's still fine. Might have gone for the theology, but that's also kind of meh. I mean, next turn, no one of us will probably draft that away, and then you will have this and can fix this situation here, happiness situation with the theology, but I I don't know if that's better. And he does find the time to copy the tactic before the H flips, so no, pretty nice. Sits on 14 strength. Let's see. I lose my cultural heritage actually because it was never worth it to play it for a civil action. And I see it. Why does it always just not show me what I seeded? I didn't even push a button, did I? Press the button. So, okay, I seeded something. Barbarians are revealed. And sadly, Jezza just overtook Ben in culture. So he doesn't 17 to 14, quite close. So he doesn't lose a population, which would hurt a lot. Yeah, that's a situation where if he has to dispense something here, that hurts a lot. And sadly, yeah, Jeza's not one of the two weakest. It wouldn't have hurt him that much. There would be the wonder that would solve his problems with this situation. He would save his civil action and could just spend maybe something like this, and then, yeah, I don't know. It's still better probably to be able to fix it like that, like populating. I populate with the warriors, so I'm not the weakest again, and I take the reserves for 2 because I have nothing else to do. Reserves and alchemy, yeah. Sadly, nothing else to do. I like alchemy a lot to set up for some science income. Staying on +2 is not an option. And warfare is quite bad in my opinion, especially with such low science. And if you have the 3rd cube already, and so it's just reserves for 2. Feels bad, but it's what it is. There's no cards on 3 that are better than alchemy and reserves for 2. So it has some merits. It's okay. It's okay. It's not what you want, but it's what you get sometimes. And I draw some strength events. Well, it's worth a consideration to see that. Ben loses a Reign of Terror, which I didn't see it, and I think I had no information about. And as I said, yeah, it hurts a lot. He has to disband bronze now. He can populate it back, but costs a lot. And he makes the decision to put it into a warrior to go for 16 strength, be strongest. So he's saying, I just don't need rock income. Who needs rock income? It's horrible. Sorry, bro, but this is just not winning. This is setting you up to lose 100%. You cannot go to rock income at this stage of the game. At least I would never do that. I think it's horrible. Goes for the alchemy development, but yeah, takes wavy for 2, wave of nationalism for 2, which I don't know. It takes it away from one player. Pretty, I don't know. It's all very inefficient. That's what I observe a lot. Most players are not bad at this stage, obviously. Also in the second stage of the World Championship, I saw my opponents were not bad players, but there were a lot of inefficiencies which added up over the course of the games. Yes, and this is one of those turns which is super inefficient. I think it's super bad. It's not to blame him or something. I just show what you shouldn't do in your games. Don't build warriors, build income, build economy. It's what it's about in 3-player, 4-player. Even more than 2-player, but even in 2-player, that would probably be wrong. Okay, let's look at the situations. Start of H2. So I think Jezza has a pretty good situation here. He has 3 science income with the library. I think the library is super good for exactly this reason, going to 3 science in 2-player. You can skip alchemy and then go for a scientific method or journalism to fix your science for the game. And he has 5 civil actions with the code of laws. And the 3rd red cube from this open borderline broken borders agreement. And he has everything sorted out. I hope he's starting to go for iron now, and then it looks super good. Let's see. Yeah, let's see the other situations. I like my situation too. I don't have 3 science income, but I can fix this now probably. I have iron already developed. I have knights and warriors, so it means I won't die probably. With Nostradamus also, who gives a lot of information, some culture and defense. And then I just said it would be super good, I think, if he did the efficient turns, and he didn't. So this looks kind of bad. Yeah, he goes for the iron. Very good. He also upgrades them. He takes the breakthrough instead of upgrading the last iron. That's a close call, probably. Yeah, can argue for that. It's probably okay. I decide to not seed in this situation. Take Ken for 2. There are only 2 copies of Ken. I have the defensive army in hand, so Ken, selective breeding. I don't take rifle. I do take rifleman. Yeah, it's just a turn where I grab a lot of cards, and probably I will upgrade 1 iron. Yeah, it's pretty nice. I get options. I do get the copy of Ken, which is pretty important. Increase my income and fix this food situation. It's very early selective breeding. Yeah, the irrigation skip is pretty good in multiplayer since there are more copies of selective breeding, and this one's really early, so I'm pretty happy with this turn. Of course, taking a lot of cards means I lacked 1 turn, for example, for upgrading this iron. It delays maybe upgrading the alchemy. Maybe there will be situations where I cannot even go for the alchemy because I have to go for cannon, rifleman, or selective breeding. Probably not selective breeding so much, but if Ben decides to go very aggressive, I will just have to develop one of those probably. And yeah, but overall, I'm pretty happy with this. And I draw even the classical army, so I can probably defend a lot of strength-related things, aggressions and wars probably. There's a pestilence. It's again super bad for Ben. At this point, I feel kind of bad for him because he has to disband something again. I seeded it actually. Did I prepare for that? Yeah, I did. Very good by me. And he also has some problems because he cannot repopulate. So yeah, pestilence. It's a great card, great asymmetric card. If you have the information about that and concede that, it can hurt the others way more than yourself. So I really like that card, seeing it. And let's see what he does here. So I think I bugged this one. I have to come back to turn 9. Maybe it even works if I do it here. Load. Yeah, probably. It just never goes to the right turn in my experience. Let's skip a little. See this, and we see the pestilence, and let's see what happens here. He dispenses the religion, which is not that much of a sacrifice, and he goes for alchemy upgrades, takes the common. And that's pretty neat, since he will have 6 signs next turn and can go for the revolution. It's probably his best shot at government, and with this many red cubes, he would maybe even prefer the Republic, but yeah, I would definitely prefer the Republic right now. But the common is also obviously pretty good, and that's pretty good for him. Setting up for this revolution, he won't even have corruption. We see the Bach. Yeah, that was the plan, kinda. Drama Bach. So does go for that. Takes cavalryman. Has to spend food income, which is also pretty crazy. I mean, it's the question: does he have to do that? Because I think that's the wrong option here. I don't see how he builds that back if he doesn't get people. So it's probably better to disband one of those. Religion is no option because he needs it. Probably better to disband bronze, or can even consider swordsman, but that's really expensive. Yeah. probably has to go for this and go for the irrigation upgrade, so he just continues to have food income. But goes for this. Maybe he has some certain plans. I don't see them. I don't see I mean, yeah, there's an Ocean Liner in the deck, but I don't see it here, so it's just not an option right now. He hopes for that, I guess. So yeah, that's a blunder in my opinion. You cannot stay on 0 food income. I see it, I think the international negotiations. Did I? Probably that. I'm not really certain. I can win the strategic territory. I was willing to bid a knight, apparently, and that is reasonable, very reasonable. I draw a lot of cards. I think now let's see the turn first. I go for the reasonable things, and I have to populate. And now last turn is taking urban growth, yeah. Do I blunder now? I think in my memory, yeah. I got rid of the classical army because just efficiency-wise, this tactic is better. And in the long run, it's the better tactic than the classical. But in the short run, I should see that I cannot really go for this. And if someone goes aggressive, I would definitely prefer to have the classical army to defend. And yeah, I was too greedy. I didn't want to get rid of the events. Not this one was not an option because I want to go for the Suez Canal, and I thought knowledge, being able to seed that, it's quite neat. In the later stages of the game, it might be a little better for me since they do have access to H2 governments now, so they will spend their signs, and then there will be a situation where this late signs, and it will be roughly the same amount for everyone. It will have a little more value for me because I can go for an H3 government. That was the thought about keeping that, but I could have kept that and just kept the classical army, I think. Yeah. I mean, looking back, I have no idea what was why I just kept this mobile artillery. It's a blunder, definitely. I even draw some cards. Yeah, I don't really know about those too much. Uncertain borders, I am the weakest. It's not so nice. I have that extra cubes from the inhabited territory, but losing the yellow cubes always bad. We can look. I have to click this away first. Yeah, this. I hate it. Requesting a bug fix via this video. Let's see quickly. What did I want to look? How much it hurts to lose this yellow cube. And it's not the end of the world. Yeah, it's always bad, but it's not the end of the world. But it makes the decision to get rid of classical army even worse because it obviously makes it even harder to go for a mobile artillery. Yeah, I think just an argument that I just recalled is I want to send these units to colonies anyway. I don't have too much information about colonies being in the game. I think maybe I seeded one, I'm not even certain. I just always assume in multiplayer that people seed colonies, and then I want to get rid of those anyway, and then I have free path to mobile artillery. But it's all wrong. It's all wrong reasonings. I had to keep the classical army. And we see, yes, uncertain borders, and we see the revolution pretty clean. All of a sudden, I mean, that looks all of a sudden playable, especially if the coal drops early on. He will need one extra science somehow to get it, or 2 more turns. But if he can get the coal in a reasonable time, he kind of fixed all his problems in his civilization. He now has civil actions to get some yellow cards. Yes, it improved his position a lot. And he has a lot of aggressive potential now with wars, maybe. See the immigration, they go both get free population pretty cheaply, but that's yeah, that's an after effect of the free religion that I couldn't take. And actually it's his Colosseum, so he had to get rid of this, so he would have won it alone. That's kind of sad. Those events hit him pretty hard. Yeah, I mean, I talked a lot of bad things about his decisions, but in the end, I think without losing those two populations, the situation would be pretty strong, actually. Yeah. Oh no, no, not again. I did it again. Oh my God. I will not edit it out. You will have to bear with me here. Yeah, we see the immigration, at least now we are at the right spot. We see the cavalryman, so he can set up for getting rid of the Genghis Khan, and he now can go for the Bach plan. And yes, I mean, he is on 29 plus 7. Not all too certain why he takes the team sports for 2, and he especially doesn't take Republic. That's kind of awkward. I mean, let's see. A Republic, this third red cube is cheated by the Pact, and Republic without the access to a third red cube is actually pretty weak in multiplayer. And 2-player can work out. You can make the game end quick enough so that military doesn't matter somehow. In 3-player, not so much. And so I kind of can understand why he doesn't take it, especially with strategy already out. Does he have it? Did the strategy just go through? Okay, that doesn't happen a lot. That doesn't happen often. So yeah, okay. Takes team sports. Don't know about that card. I would probably take breakthrough and hope for organized religion later. We have Kubatar in the game, so team sports. Kubatar, even Nelson Mandela. It's not unimportant, but I don't know if he needs this. Not certain. Would probably prefer the breakthrough here. And yeah, there's the ocean liner coming. That's pretty good for him. If he can get it next turn, maybe someone can take it away. But I have my eyes on the Suez Canal, obviously, so I'm not taking it away. So it would depend on Ben. Let's see if he does it. It would hurt his situation a lot, I think, if he doesn't get the Suez. Ocean liner, sorry. And in hindsight, why not take the architecture with the ocean liner? Because then maybe he can even build it. No, he lacks a rock. Okay, it's a heavy investment just for the civil actions. If you are not going to use the rock discount, which he's probably not doing so much with this setup, yeah, probably also correct not to take the architecture, save the science for the con one. Yeah, I do take the Suez Canal. I have the historic in hand. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst because I don't have any other access to happy faces right now. I could take organized for 2, but now I don't need that. And what are my last turns? I decided not to seed, by the way, so yeah, just thought about knowledge of the ancients. Was all in vain. And I used the Omgrove to upgrade alchemy, and here I remember now. I was not too happy with this decision. Kind of the same thoughts about architecture as for Jezza and the Ocean Liner. If I took architecture, I would save some, one civil action next turn to finish it. I thought it was too greedy, and breakthrough with all these science cards in hand would just be more valuable. But I actually think, and also as we will see how the game developed, I think I would have rather the architecture in hand in next turn than this breakthrough. Well, it was hard to see. So it's a close call. I can understand why I took this, but I think the architecture would definitely be even in some sense, less greedy. Uh, Maybe you will see what I mean by that in 1 or 2 turns. I draw the developed territory, so that's a better option to use with the Suez Canal. But we see the war over territory by Ben, and he invests quite a lot for this. He invests everything he has to steal some yellow cubes from me. Um, yeah, as I mentioned before, this game plan just doesn't win. Maybe he sets himself up to not lose against me, maybe. But this is so bad against the third player because he just neglected so much of his economy. Maybe in this specific case, it's not true because he couldn't have done a lot for economy anyway. But he could, in my opinion, he could build bronze, take breakthrough, maybe take ocean liner away. It's still super good for him. I mean, he has some actions left, so he might still do that. But uh, it's more of a general statement that this aggressive play doesn't give him enough value against both players. So if your goal is not to lose the game and just go for the second place, it's okay. Wherever you would do that, sometimes tournament meta just dictates that. But if you want to win the game, that's just not winning. It's not going to happen. I mean, okay, I know how it ended, but I knew for certain in this situation that Ben is not going to win this game. It's not happening. And by that play, obviously, I'm also a little sad because he targets me. And by that play, he makes it a lot more likely that Red wins the game. It's just a three-player meta. It is how it is. I don't complain. I'm not meaning to be salty about that. I mean to share my thoughts about what what a winning strategy is, and that's just not a winning strategy in my perception. So let's see his last turns. He takes the breakthrough, very reasonable. He decides not to take the ocean liner. I can kind of understand. He does. It's not his like bottleneck in the civilization. He assumes that he will get some yellow cubes from me, which is most probably true. And he has food, but he has no rocks, so he cannot even afford to build the ocean liner. Maybe I would still have gone for this, but um, it's a close call. Maybe it's correct just to leave it. Maybe it's correct just to leave it for him and say, hey, this guy is going to be first place, and I'm just going for the second place. And yeah, I can understand why he doesn't take it, but there would be a lot of arguments that it even for him has a lot of value still. Vast territory is revealed in the war, very good for Jezza. Probably also a reason why he disbanded food, because he probably knew that it's in there. And I actually don't know if I knew that. I'm not certain right now, but it doesn't matter a lot anyway. He can win it during the war because both of us cannot really. Ben doesn't bid anything, and I can not bid too much. I think I bid one warrior or something. And sadly, I didn't draw any defense cards actually. So, oh no, not again. There's no bug here. I didn't draw any defense cards, so yeah, that just goes to him for free. Super good for him. Super good for his position. Fixes his food situation. He will very likely go for the ocean liner now. No, he doesn't. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Questionable. Honestly questionable. Yes, Harvard super good, but I think ocean liner in the vacuum is at least as good as Harvard. And I could kind of understand if he just built the second irrigation now, but he built a cavalryman. And does he kind of say, I just don't need people? I don't know. He just needs some people. Yeah, it's questionable, in my opinion. But obviously, still, his situation is super good with us fighting and he being on +9 culture and has quite a lead already. We will summarize the situation at the end of stage 2. So I go for the Suez Canal and I have the option between developed territory and historic territory. And I think in the end I go for the historic because happy faces and I need them, and two happy faces just more than those two yellow cubes that I get. And I go for knights and adapt the tactic. Yeah, feels super bad. I go to 16 with that, so I just lose two yellow cubes, not the end of the world. If I had the classical army in hand, I think I can even contest this war. But I'm not certain. There's a lot of ifs. So yeah, that's not the end of the world. I'm still kind of happy with my situation, but I do have yellow cube problems now, and um, population problems. I will have to get this selective breeding going very soon. Yeah, my last turn is just get this reserves out that I had to take for two at the start of the age. In hindsight, um, yeah, kind of okay. Maybe this frugality would have even better. But well, that's probably not true since this ensures that I can populate next turn. Quite important in some cases. Maybe a follow-up war, and yeah, it's okay. And we see Ben gaining some yellow cubes, going for an event, reveals the popularization of science. That doesn't matter at all. We finally builds a mine, go back to 3, goes for the Court of Law, takes Ermgrove, and EG, and Frugality. Doesn't take cannons. Interesting. It's the second copy. Obviously, it doesn't have mobile artillery. I have that. It's pretty late. There's 2 copies of rockets, so yeah, you don't have to take those tanks. Cannons. That's probably okay. But I would probably go for one leader here. Gaudi looks decent, not like the dream, but looks decent. What is he looking out for? He's probably looking out for Nobel. Yeah, but Gaudi in this situation I would like a lot. Gaudi and journalism maybe. He has Irmgroves in hand. Richlands he can still go for coal next turn. No, he can't because of science. Yeah, a lot of problems, not easily fixed. Maybe Gaudi can set him up for some culture, but it's also not that easy. Since this economy is just so awful. So yeah, I mean it's correct to take all those yellow cards. He has to have some economic value in hand. I struggle to see a winning path for him right now. It's probably would still be Gaudi, maybe Darwin next to him, but the problem is just he's losing the leader quite likely until then. Just efficiency wise, I would probably just take Gaudi and maybe journalism and dream of building some journalism and religion and fixing science and culture income and close eyes and hope not to die against some aggressive scenarios. He does have the wave in hand, so yeah. And maybe then there's still coal or maybe an early oil, and maybe there's some scenarios where he has win conditions. That's not that easy. Jezza seeds an event, reveals the negotiation, so I did seed that. I don't lose that. Thanks to Nostradamus. And yeah, that's actually quite nice for me because Ben is not. Oh, actually, maybe that's not even true. I mean, I do still want to go for the first place. Obviously, I try to win this game, but maybe that's unrealistic already. So then that would be bad. Then it would be better if Jezza won it. But if I want to go for first place, then it's quite nice that Jezza loses it to Ben. And that's super unclear at this situation, I think. Jezza takes the Conmon. That's very reasonable, and builds Stage of Harvard. What did he actually lose? He had to lose rocks, right? That hurts a lot. I mean, he couldn't finish the wonder. It's a 5 rock stage, but it still hurts a lot to lose 3 rocks in this situation. There's no yellow cards at all, and takes the cannon, takes the rifleman. So what he has got going for him is we can take an overview about the standings. I seeded the developed territory, by the way. I saw that one. And the Colossus, super nice. That's super nice. I draw 2 colonization cards. I mean, not after I've seeded, but while I seeded colony, and drew the nuts tactic probably in the game, and that's super good. Let's see at the situations. Yeah, I'm at 34 plus 0. My economy is quite good, especially after this turn, probably when I will have been able to upgrade selective breeding. Probably that's probably what will happen. So I do like my economic situation, but he's also putting a lot of cultural pressure. He's depending on how quick the game goes now, it might just be enough. And Ben is probably out of the competition. There's not a lot of things going for him except the Conmon. He has this advantage, but other than that, I don't see a lot of things going for him. So I ceded the developed territory. Border conflict is revealed. This time Ben even loses that, so Jezza gets his rocks back because he lost Chichka. That's also the problem. If you invest in this asymmetric military so much for a war, and you lose obviously all the strength. And I go for Nobel actually. I think that was a close decision between Darwin and Nobel for me. Yeah, I think I wasn't too happy with this turn in hindsight, but I think my reasoning was a little like denying it from not a little. It was obviously denying it from Ben because it's at this point I think I decided that I will probably go for second place and maybe leave some options to attack for first place, but I wanted to secure second place most of all. I didn't want to end last, so I played against Ben. And even in a vacuum, I think it's close between those two. But with the decision going for against him, I also decided that I want to be able to go for military pressure. So the science looked important, and yeah, overall, I'm not even that certain why I preferred him over Darwin, and I didn't even take justice system. I didn't even go for selective breeding. I wanted to be able to start the military pressure now, since I thought, maybe I even thought that could potentially be a winning condition even, but it puts a lot of pressure on him also. Yeah, but I'm not certain. It's been a while that I played this game, and I'm not really certain about this turn, actually. I can see just Justice System Darwin still being better overall. It's a close call, especially going for selective. I'm maybe I think I knew that there was refugees here. I remember, so going to be strongest was quite important. I think that was the case. Refugees and maybe another strength event that I didn't like to lose. Thanks to Nostradamus, I knew that. Yeah, I think that was part of the reason why I do this kind of ugly turn. I even have to disband this. It looks awful. I don't like looking at this. But I didn't have that many options anyway, so yeah. But this looks not like I'm on track to win the game at all. So the war did hurt a lot, and maybe this turn even hurt more. I don't know. But here's the first strength event that I don't lose thanks to that. Crime Wave. Obviously, it doesn't matter too much. See Ben going for more knights. Take Rev Idea, take Cole. Very late Cole, maybe too late. Take Ogna's Religion. Maybe there's some happiness event by him. I don't remember. I don't know if that's so important. Yeah, we could have taken Einstein scientific method maybe, but I'm also not certain if that's good or good enough. And we see Ravages of Time. That's something I didn't see, I think. Or did I? Not certain, but it's definitely the best for me. Then after that, Library is also kind of okay to lose, and Colosseum always hurts to lose at the end of the game. Gains value towards the end of the game, and the other one does. My Colossus has done its work, so that's I'm improving it by 1,000,000%, and this is probably not improving the Wonder, and this is kind of equal. 2 science, yeah, 1 science, 1 culture, or 2 culture. It's kind of equal H3. Yeah, if you are so low on science, then maybe not, but you get the idea. And Jezza goes for the common, goes for Harvard, even has rocks left thanks to the border conflict. Super good. Takes reserves, plays reserves thanks to Harvard, fixes his food like this, but doesn't do anything for food income still. So yeah, I think he would have completely winning position if he would have food income. But like this, he just has a probably winning position, very likely winning position. This is a lot of income against 0 income in culture. And there are a lot of civil actions in the game, not exceedingly like sometimes, but some. So we can expect the game not to last like 20 turns or something. It's probably something like 17, 18 turns. And let's see what I do. I don't even remember. Pro Sports looks pretty good with Kubota here, so I actually just go for that. Yeah. I thought this is actually win condition. Kubota Pro Sports with the internet in the game is actually a win condition. And the benefit of that is it also puts military pressure. It actually made me strongest in this turn. And having 3 of those, it's just 12 strength. It's a lot. So I like this turn a lot. I would have loved to go for multimedia somehow or something, but that was not possible, obviously. And yeah, I do have a problem. I do like civil actions. The monarchy turns out to be not enough. So yeah, the justice system last turn would have been a good call, I guess, but I didn't do it. I think I thought I needed the science for tanks and air forces and stuff like that. Maybe that's the correct statement. Not certain. I have corruption, that's sad, but I'm on +9, so it's not the end of the world. But this consumption, that's worse. I have to fix my food, and I have to fix it soon. I never found the times so far. That's a horrible draw, obviously. No one wants to draw aggressions in this game, ever. And there's an inhabited territory. They are willing to bid a lot. I was also willing to bid a lot. And Ben wins it, invests very heavily in it, especially with not having food income, rock income. So probably too much. Takes the reserves, takes rev idea, plays core upgrades. So I do agree with those terms, but maybe not the rev idea. Yeah, it's close. I would like to see him take one of those multimedia to have some kind of win condition, because now 2 multimedia and 1 movie is gone. He's not winning by military. I don't see how. And if they are gone, he has no win condition. No, like none. He cannot build a building that does anything. So he kind of needed to take one of those, in my opinion. Because yeah, as I said, he's just not going to win by military. How is that happening without economy? Hmm. Yeah, or even if he goes for the Hussars, why not take tanks? Maybe that's the win condition. Spam Hussars somehow with patriotisms and military build-ups, which he won't get, and reserves and wave. Maybe that's the win condition. I don't know. As I said, he has a tough position. He does his best. Cole, pretty late. I'm not certain. He did have rich land, so it makes it a little better, but not certain if that's still legit. Yeah, Jazza takes the military build up. That's reasonable. Does he even play it for 5 rocks? Interesting decision. Wants to be strongest. Takes the patriotism. Takes urban growth. Also doesn't take multimedia or movies. Says I don't need it. I just don't need not to die. I just need not to die is probably the statement here, and maybe that's correct. Still has quite the lead income wise, and I do try the plunder because why not? I don't lose too much from it. One draw actually, right? That's, or do I go for the fundamentalism? Uh, no, I don't. So I lose one draw. I thought, yeah, maybe I needed some luck to win still, but generally it's probably not worth. Yeah, he did invest quite heavily into this territory, right? So I think that was my reason to try the aggression. And but he still had an H2 card even, right? Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Overall, probably not worth to try aggressions when you sacrifice draw for that. So now I decide to go for the civil service. I need to fix my civil action situation, and I think in this situation I feel like I some hope again, um, because my economy is just okay. Food's still kind of a problem, but I see this internet coming down the road. I don't see that taken away, probably. Maybe if they take enough cuts, it will be gone. But yeah, I kind of dream about winning again somehow with multimedias and pro sports and an internet. Um, yes, getting strongest because I am pretty certain that's a refugees last card here. Yeah, Ben just realizes he cannot compete military wise. I do um, uh, yeah, I have possibilities to go for war, and he cannot really defend that very well, so he goes for Gandhi. Grades the coal, still very late, takes reserves. He's Air Force in a row. Refugees is revealed. I do get the civilization, which is super good for me. Jezza goes for the mech egg. Finally fixes his food also and goes for the United Nations. Yeah, that fixes corruption. I think I would prefer to see him. Yeah, with this early wonder and even also starting to build it, that costs a lot of potential, obviously. Like he could also just somehow, he could take this philosophy, for example, and put it into a drama, which I would like to see from him. And he could maybe set up for Red Cross, for example, if he just built another one of those somehow, like the spending philosophy building that one, or just go for one of the wonders like fast food chains, which he's not certain to get, probably. yeah, I think it's a lot. It's very expensive to take this wonder now, and it won't produce more culture than building a drama now, probably. I do get the internet, pretty happy with that. So my dreams grow larger of winning the game again. We can look again. It's quite far away still. He's still on 96 plus 11. But there's still 20 cards here, so I actually feel like it's possible. Go for selective breeding. Finally, with the extra population, I can fix my food, and now my civilization just looks decent all of a sudden. Looks good. Get the military theory even. Can argue just taking forever here, but I think military theory has a lot of merit. If I want to try to sneak a war, maybe against Jezza, which looks kind of unlikely because he has all of this in hand. But if he like starts to disband his warriors, I want to have 6 red cubes. So it's pretty good for impacts. That's also a very important argument. And yeah, so I decide on that. And there's the impact of progress drawn, so that's nice. Freedom of movement revealed. We see him even getting the movies. And next turn he would be able to build one, or would he even be able to build one now with reserves? Kind of close, but yeah, taking the red was probably okay here, I guess. Much to say about that. See prosperity revealed. Interestingly, moves the worker to religion. Sorts me to religion. Why not drama? Did he misclick? Did he not realize he has one more building slot? Questions over questions. It's this for impact of variety, which would give 2 culture, but this thing gives 2 culture per turn. Yeah, I don't know. This is a mistake. He builds the wonder very early and reveals harmony. That's +4. So overall, this wonder gave 16 plus, no, wait, 12 plus 4, it's 16 culture for a lot of rocks, so it's not worth it. But finishing it means you can still take the fast food. But he has a situation where he's not certain to build this wonder because he's only 6 rocks income and he needs to get this reserves. Exactly, he needs to have not corruption next turn somehow, get +6 both turns, and then get the reserves. Or there's some economic progress, or I think the other one that gives rocks, arms industries. I think I had that. I didn't put it in the deck, so economic progress might be possible. There it is. Might even be that I put it in. I'm not certain about that. Definitely something I would do with this setup. That also might be from him, might be his plan to get enough rocks for the wonder. And here I just go for multimedia. Was just not an option, so I'm not bothering. I want to maximize my internet basically. And they are equal in value for the internet. Both give 6 culture, but those give 3 culture, 3 science per turn, and I can afford them, so I just build them instead of another arena. And I think I've so far not used the Olympic Games, if I'm correct, and it's because of the possibility of terrorism in the deck. Could be possible, so I had some hope if it's in, then he might be ahead of me. He was ahead of me, I think, most of the time. So, but I still decided to build one of the stages I don't have really better options. And at this point, I guess also if there's a terrorism in, then it's not I cannot stay behind him in culture anyway anymore. Territory revealed. I get this for just a night. That's pretty good for me. I was willing even to bid a pair, which would have some, yeah, it would bear some problems with the impact of harmony, which I know about. He revealed it with the wonder thing, and you will probably see it because he's still set up best for it. So yeah, I'm pretty happy to just get it for a night. It even means war options. Um, so Jezza just has to be mindful of making a turn where he can defend a possible war from me, because I have the military theory and I can go for, let's see, quickly. Impact of agriculture revealed. That might also be the reason for this mechanized agriculture. I didn't see that, but it's still, yeah, it's kind of equal. It doesn't matter too much. Yeah, I don't have air forces, but I have the. No, I don't. I don't really have air war options. I guess only if he spends all his rocks into this wonder now and can't build an air force or something. But he even has this tactic, so no, there's just no realistic way to declare war, I guess. Yeah. Let's see, he goes for team sports and rifleman just for the Nobel Prize. And there's no reserves, sadly, so he didn't get that. And we see the situation hasn't changed since this will only be 15 rocks, especially after he built that. It would have been 16, but he had no way to get rid of corruption. That I think I checked everything, and feel free to counterproof it. He just has no way to get rid of corruption, so he will not have enough rocks without the reserves. But, and that's something that I saw only now in after I wondered, so like, why does he have this wonder? And okay, he cannot build it, but then I saw, okay, here's the Harvard, and there's this reserve in. And we see, I realized it before my turn. It was for random stuff that doesn't mean too much. And impact of colonies, which I think I drew, yeah, I seeded that. So I had good impact draw so far. And yeah, that was quite a tough turn because obviously I dream of winning this. I'm still quite far behind in culture, but my internet will be pretty good, something like 30 culture probably. And this turn was super difficult. So first of all, the reserves didn't drop, so I couldn't deny it from him. And I actually considered or thought about if it's okay to write in the chat just like Harvard College, so that Ben has the information or doesn't overlook the information that he can still go for the wonder with Harvard College. But I decided against it because it felt kind of icky, and also I didn't want to like yeah, just felt wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's okay sportsman wise. You can give your opinion in the comments. I would be curious, but I just didn't do it, and instead I maximized kind of my turn to ensure that reserves drops on 2 to make it more attractive for him. And that meant when I started this turn, I had one premise. I needed to be able to defend. So that means a military theory or building one of those. And both also give some culture, or at least this pro sport produces 2 culture, but it's a problem that I cannot get reserves here for certain, and there was some other problems. I don't remember them all, but my premise was to be able to defend an aggression, and I thought so much about this turn that I forgot my premise. I decided to not go for military theory, so I can, yeah, on one hand get the reserves here for certain, and also go for a Nobel Prize next turn, which is also for culture. I might lose out on for culture by some impacts. So I don't even know if that's so correct to to go for on this for culture. Well, as I said, this turn was way too hard for me, and I did this, and I'm not certain if that's correct. But if um, it made him take the reserves, then it was definitely correct because I think that's a winning condition for me, and we will see if he does that. Competition is revealed, so that's already 5 culture I lost by not building the arena, 2 by income, 3 by this impact. Had no information about this impact. I thought a lot about possible impacts. It felt kind of weird because Ben did like nothing but build military in the end. So that speaks for even those rockets. That speaks a little for competition and strength even. And yeah, so it means -5 culture, and we will see his turn. Red idea goes for movies quite late, but has nothing to do, and actually takes the reserves. And it was his last 2 turns. I am not certain if he would have done that if it was on 3. No one knows. I don't know. Maybe if you see this, you can tell me if you even saw that he needed this for the Harvard, because it's also kind of weird position for him to interfere anyway. Um, let's say go out of his way to make a turn against a player because he has like 0 win chances, and I always find that a little tricky because I consider it king making. But if it's his natural turn anyway and he doesn't go out of his way and it's just best turn, probably okay. It's just one of those meta aspects in 3-player that are unsolvable. How to play correctly in a losing position. Um, in my opinion, you stop playing, you just resign. But it's also kind of, yeah, it's tough to decide at what point king making starts. And even I would say it's probably not a king making move if it's his best move and he has like a 0.1% chance to still end second, which is probably not true, the 0.1%. But yeah, it's too tough of a topic to solve. It's probably unsolvable. But also I would like to know your opinions about if you consider this king making, because I can definitely find arguments for that, or maybe objectively this is just a king making move, because yeah, he cannot build his wonder. I mean, it doesn't mean that I win, obviously, since the lead is still pretty big, still 48 culture, but I have very good impacts in, and he cannot build his wonder. I can, so I after this I kind of feel good. But yeah, there's still this losing condition. I said I have to be able to defend an aggression. I mean, it's not unlikely that I have a defense card, but if he sees that there's multiple scenarios, if he sees that he needs to make the gamble, it's very likely that he has any aggression that destroys my internet, plunder obviously, or raid would be super GG, and also he can build his wonder then. So if he sees that he has to take the gamble, or if he has no impact to play and has an aggression, so he has nothing better to do, he will take the gamble, then I'll just lose, or in second. So it was a huge blunder not to be able to defend. Um, yeah, because there are just these scenarios that are really reasonable, where he tries an aggression. Of course, he also needs to have one, but that's super likely. I think I did see one of the yeah, this won't show me that, but I think I saw one of the blunders, and I'm not really certain. Even Occupy wins for him, because Occupy also means building this. But he doesn't. Long story short, he doesn't see it or try it, or thought an impact would be enough. And that's also lucky for me, maybe, because it's not that obvious that an impact is not enough. If he had a good one that gives him some culture, in a lot of scenarios he wins with that. Since I really needed good impact draw to, even with the internet, to still gain those from 50 culture, and I'm still not certain if it's enough in this scenario. Um, but I thought with a lot of things going for me in H3, it's quite nice. Also, I didn't even talk about it. I drew an impact here, which was super good. Architecture, it was architecture what was one of the best. I think even happiness is super good. Balance not, it's okay, but architecture was, I think, the best even. There's the harmony. I knew about it. I didn't really have. That was also one of the possibilities in the turn to defend instead of going for military theory, going for knight. But I didn't like it too much also with this premise again that I want the reserves here. Yeah, tough decisions. I go for those with impacting of progress in and the Nobel Prize. This is like 16 culture turn, and I can still go for one arena and one religion and build the internet or 33 culture. So right now, yeah, we will see the standings after Ben's turn. He's just has no win condition and goes for strength. So it can mean actually that there was impact of strength already in. It's more likely that he seeded it at the end. It's just more reasonable to seed it at the end if you have it in hand and you can just safely decide that you win it. But there was a chance that it was here, and we will see. As it turned out, it is meaningful. I'm still 17 culture behind, but with those impacts, there is impact of strength. So yeah, if that was in the last deck, which is unlikely, I think, then I would have lost. It would be a 14 culture swing against Jezza because I was weaker against him all these turns. And as we will see, there's population +2 for him. Architecture is just +11, and then there's the progress. It's +14. But as we see, if strength was in there, so there's a lot of ifs where I lose this game. But there were some cases where I win this game and I hit them, and I was quite happy to win this game because it didn't look like that at all at the start of H3, I think. I kind of played for my outs. I thought of a win condition and I was able to hit that win condition. And I think also the other side of the coin is Jezza had it in its own hands, but he made some questionable decisions in the end. Not having food income a lot of the time. There was this religion instead of drama, and basically all the time he could have had a third drama with Bach also. That's also maybe even also already these 13 culture difference. So yeah, he was also unlucky. So I'm not saying that he played awful or something. It was just, it's always those small inefficiencies that add up. And he was also unlucky just not to get the reserves because this wonder would have also been enough to win the game. And yeah, in the end, I think it was a super close game, super exciting game. And I was happy to win this. My situation in the World Cup, I mean, the stage is over now, but with this win, I was sitting on, well, maybe I will just upload some other games. So I won't reveal. You can look it up if you're interested in my standings. I'm not revealing. Maybe I will upload some other games, but I'm not certain if I find the time. Definitely next stage, I guess. Yeah. So it's been a while that I uploaded one, and inspired by Weidenbaum and DJ Parson, who both upload the World Cup games, and it's some hype, and games are fun. I decided to try as well. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you want to see more, and maybe see you in the next one. Bye bye.